Hello, this is Just Listen, hosted by George. Today is November 15th, 2023. This is a follow-up to the U.S. policy on abortions after the Supreme Court ruling in the summer of 2022. There are two areas that I want to cover that states have been doing. The first one is I want to talk about amending the Constitution, so that'll be the first area. The second area is the notion that the federal government or states are paying for abortion. So let's start with the first one, which is amending the state constitutions. As you are aware, hopefully, the states have been busy after the Supreme Court ruling. These fall along three different areas. So the first one is what I stated earlier of amending the Constitution in favor of abortion. So 4 states and the District of Columbia say that people have the right to abortion throughout pregnancy, which means that there's no limitations to when they can have an abortion. This also includes within the 4 states, New Jersey and Colorado. The second point is some states are using the legislatures to amend their state constitutions by saying that people have the right to privacy and personal reproductive autonomy. Some of the states doing that are Alaska, Arizona, California, Iowa, and New Jersey. The other one is Montana, who said that the right to privacy in the state constitution, as I'm saying, protects abortion. Minnesota has done that as well, and the language that they use is that the Minnesota Constitution protects abortion as a privacy right. The court applied this right to hold that the state's medical assistance program must fund abortions for people living on low incomes. Now I'm going to mention this portion again for my second area of who's paying for the abortions. Now the third point is the District of Columbia has said that there is a right to abortion throughout the pregnancy. Now, I'm going to attach a United States map where it shows where the abortions are occurring at. And what it talks about is the most restrictive to the most protective. Now, if you count the states where it's most restrictive, we have 14 states that are very restrictive, and what that means is that abortions are illegal. And the legislatures, after the Supreme Court ruled, there's a movement in these states to do that. And I mentioned DC twice because they are really most protective of rights, and they allow abortions up until pretty much the baby is born. So you can decide how you feel about that. Now, this attachment of the states is important because I want you to look through it, and it says, depending on the state, abortion policy, demographic area, and abortion stats. So let's look at Illinois. So abortion is banned after 24 to 26 weeks. And then you can read that Medicaid funds cover abortion. But I don't want to focus on that. What I want to focus on is the actual map. So if you look at the map, there's only 13 states where there is a hard line towards abortion. So, in essence, what I'm saying is that most of the states are actually allowing abortion to some degree. So, legislatures are actually doing that, and that's important because all the Supreme Court said was that it wasn't the government's business to be involved in abortions. So I really want you to take a look at that attached map. It's very interesting. Now, the next part is federal taxpayer dollars being used for abortions. Now, as I kind of hinted at the end of the other discussion, Medicaid is paying for a lot of abortions. And actually, there was a case, Harris versus McRae, where the Supreme Court rejected an equal protection claim and upheld policies that say that you cannot use Medicaid to fund abortion for people with low incomes. In Minnesota, their Supreme Court said that this right applied, that the state's medical assistance fund must fund abortion to make it accessible for people living on low incomes. So the focus is on people on low incomes to get the taxpayers to pay for abortions based on the readings. Now, the Arizona Supreme Court held that limitations on state funding for abortion violated the Equal Privilege and Immunities Clause of the Arizona Constitution. Now, I'm saying all this to let you know that the Supreme Court actually made a fair ruling. And if everything stands, it comes down to what state you are in and what the will of the people is in those states. Now, whether you agree or disagree, the facts bear out that in some states, they are more pro-abortion, and that might be where we are at with abortions right now. And the issue that I see that's glaring is these pro-abortion groups are acting like that after the Supreme Court ruled on Roe versus Wade that there weren't any abortions going on in the country. And that's just not true. States are actually putting them in the state constitutions if that's what the will of the people is. And so that's what we really need to think about when we evaluate the data. Should the states put it in their constitutions? That's the first one. And the second one is, should taxpayer dollars be used to fund abortions? This is George. This is Just Listen. Let me know what you think.